Ricochet, quickly, and haste effect of a gold or silver bullet. When a gold or silver bullet is aimed at a target parent, the relevant authorities and the court should be alerted that the children will be affected. Neglecting to report it may be seen as an omission to report the cruelty by emotional abuse of the target parent and the child and the reckless endangerment of the child. In many toxic separations, the hate of the opponent is of such intensity that the hating partner may attempt any method to punish the ex-partner. Many professionals would propose that the hate directed towards the ex-partner far exceeds the love for the children involved. In most cases, when the hate reaches a level where silver or gold bullets are fired, the possible outcomes are not taken note of or even noticed. The same bullet that was aimed at the partner may ricochet or quickly, unintentionally, injuring the person that fired it, an innocent party, or even the children. Inhumane and degrading treatment. Most target parents suffer from legal abuse syndrome, a form of post-traumatic stress disorder, when experiencing the inhumane and degrading treatment associated with alienation. In most cases, the experience causes serious psychological pain and suffering. By not reporting the offences causing the suffering and the pain, any persons that have knowledge of it may face prosecution, and in extreme cases, when found guilty in court, the said person can face up to even life imprisonment. Any state officials, for instance the Garda social worker, who are informed about inhumane and degrading treatment on a person are obliged to act on that report. By not acting, the official is guilty under Criminal Justice United Nations Convention Against Torture Act of torture by omitting to address it. According to jurisprudence, the said official then condones the inhuman and degrading treatment. The omission of action by the official places the state at risk of being in breach of the UNCAT by allowing torture. Terminology. Angry, sadistic alienator is an alienator that tends to be controlling, angry, and even sadistic in their effort to control the target parent and obtaining success in turning children against the target parent, who are the absent parent or the non-custodial parent usually. The angry, sadistic alienator is usually an alienating parent or step-parent in the case of a separation or in the case of a child in care. It may be a social worker, foster parent, or guardian ad litem. The next table outlines the experience of alienation cited by one therapist in Ireland, recorded in June 2019, obtained by compiling evidential information from his clients. These are estimated national statistics drawn up from a number of areas that are involved with family breakups, and parent alienation. These figures were obtained from the courts.ie website from the annual report 2018, and they are the number of guardianship, custody and access cases that have been held in the district courts. This is part of a report that was undertaken by Roisin O'Shea and Dr. Keneally, where they found that 24% of these disputes were around parental alienation. On average, there are 1.38 children per family in Ireland. This is the CSO figures of 2016. From various surveys, La Dolce Vita project in Derry have found that in all of Ireland, that 80% of the parentally alienated parents are fathers and 20% are mothers. So this is not a just gender-specific issue. From these figures, I propose that there are approximately 7,203 children and parents who are parentally alienated in Ireland every year, and this is rising. As I said, and I repeat, there's an estimated 7,203 victims that are tortured by parental alienation every year. The victims of this type of alienator suffer dreadfully, resulting in inhumane, degrading treatment and causing serious harm. This situation is never in the best interest of the children. When an alienating party or child that is pathologically indoctrinated makes a false or exaggerated allegations of an offence or abuse about the target parent, it is referred to as a bullet fired. Gold and silver bullets. In most cases, said allegations by the alienator are only made during the court hearing to prevent access and a relationship with the children. The alienator, knowing that as long as they claim the other parent is abusing the children or committing other offences, the courts will suspend custody or visitation with the targeted parent. You are guilty until proven innocent. The alienator is also aware that the public will pay for the investigations even if the accusations are unsubstantiated. The accusation creates unfounded skepticism against the other parent, as a saying which is a lie goes, there is no smoke without fire. This can often bankrupt the targeted parent unfairly. In the instance of Irish law and law enforcement, when an alienating party is granted a protection order after applying for safety or barring order, the silver bullet is in the barrel. The obtaining of a safety or barring order is the gun cogged, and when the Garda is called out because of an alleged breach that may be as minimal as even posting a medical insurance card to the alienating party, the bullet is fired so as to get the target parent incarcerated or permanently removed from the relationship and their children. A golden bullet refers to a concerted attempt to permanently remove the targeted parent out of the life of the children, alleging an indictable offence with a possible long prison service sentence, or even driving the targeted parent to a total mental breakdown and suicide. Sadistic alienators from a past piranha relationship usually use state or community legal aid to keep the targeted parent in court with exorbitant legal fee outlays, psychological costs, contact center costs, contact supervision costs, and more. In most of these cases, the targeted parent just gives up, abandons the child, or even ends up committing suicide. Ricochets occur when a bullet or bullet fragment is deflected by an object rather than penetrating and becoming embedded in that object. Ricochet behavior may vary with two bullets. A piranha relationship is a relationship where one partner, the piranha, enters the relationship only to benefit financially from it. Ricochet, Quigley, and haze effect of a gold or silver bullet. Depends on the bullet shape, the bullet material, the spin velocity and distance, the target material, and the angle of incidence. A ricochet may cause damage, injury, or even death. The opinion of Mr. Justice Hayes in one of his rulings, as copied hereunder, is the best example of a child judging themselves as bad. If one of my parents is proven as bad, half of me is bad. If both parents are bad, I am completely bad. Therefore no one can blame me for my actions, blame my parents. Your children have come into this world because of the two of you. Perhaps you two made lousy choices as to whom you decided to be. The other parent, if so, that is your problem and your fault. Or no matter what you think of the other party, what your family thinks of the other party, these children are one half of each of you. Remember that because every time you tell your child what an idiot his father is, or what a fool his mother is, or how bad the absent parent is, or what terrible things that person has done, you are telling the child half of him or her is bad. That is an unforgivable thing to do to a child. That is not love, that is possession. If you do that to your children, you will destroy them as surely as if you had cut them into pieces, because that is what you are doing to their emotions. I sincerely hope that you do not do that to your children. Think more about your children and less about yourselves, and make yourselves a selfless kind of love, not foolish or selfish, or your children will suffer. The bullet misfired. Some examples. From the above, it is clear that a bullet fired may injure, and usually does injure, parties that were not intended to be injured. The author can testify of many instances where the person who fired the gun sustained more serious injuries. In all the cases, the children involved suffered serious consequences and outcomes, including but not limited to suicide. Due to the in-camera rule, the following information in this example has had to be redacted. December 2015, Mary obtained a protection order against John after she absconded from the family home with the children, not allowing John any access to his daughter and his stepson. In January 2016, the application for a barring order was heard in the district court granted against John. At the same time hearing, John was ordered to pay €30 maintenance per week for his daughter. John's family offered Mary an unknown amount as settlement for the maintenance of the child till the age of 23. The amount was accepted. John attempted again by mail, email and text to persuade Mary to allow a limited relationship with the children. The request was refused. During December 2016, John asked again for limited access and a chance to deliver Christmas presents. The request was answered with an arrest for breaching the barring order. John was incarcerated for 2 months. John decided to give up, not attempting any further contact with the children of Mary. Mary lost all the money paid by the family of John as maintenance settlement. Mary approached John for help, but it was refused. Mary attempted to have the maintenance order revised, but it was also refused by the court. Around March 2017, social services determined that the children who were still in the sole custody of Mary were neglected and that they were in need of care. Protecting the children, social services applied for a court order to take the children in care. The order was granted. Social services decided that kinship care would be in the best interest of the children, and the children were placed in the care of John. Mary appealed the decision of the district court without success. In June 2018, Mary was admitted in the psychiatric unit of the local hospital. On release, 14 days later, she committed suicide. The silver bullet injured John, but in the end killed Mary, who fired it. But also the children suffer. This example from the British and Polish press may not be 100% factually correct. Maria Kislow was only 12 years old. She was alienated from her father for several years. Maria's mother used a golden bullet on her ex, spreading a story that he was cheating on his new girlfriend with his ex-wife. Maria's father was then brutally shot to death by his new girlfriend's brother-in-law about 6 months after Maria's parents' divorce. On the day of her father's death, her mother openly expressed her happiness about the death in front of Maria. When Maria was found hanging, a note at her feet read, "Dear Mom, please don't be sad. I miss Daddy so much. I want to see him again." The golden bullet, fired by spreading false information, not only killed the target, but also the innocent child. A full has effect. Respecting the request of the court, the name of the child is changed. Maggie was 12 years old and partly alienated from her father. Maggie's mother actively disparaged the father and actively twisted the mind of the little lady through pathogenic parenting. Maggie labelled herself as bad like my dad. When social services and the police got involved in the family due to Maggie's mother's behaviour, Maggie became very emotional, stressed, and became known as the poet due to her postings of poems and essays on social media. In her postings, it became clear that the haze effect was evident. She posted many items where she begged people to forgive her for being of bad blood, and that she did not want to be friends anymore, because I will only disappoint you in the future. Maggie decided to take the option of suicide live on social media. During the process, she again begged friends to forgive her. The most shocking statement was, "I'm the child of a very bad man and a very bad woman. Nothing in me is good, only bad blood." William Stein and his wife Mary divorced around 1999. Mary and the children moved in with her mother. Although William became briefly estranged from the children, he still adequately provided for them and their mother. During June 2000, William attempted to have contact with the children. Mary refused and active alienation commenced. The matter visited the courts more than 150 times, with applications for access, increase in maintenance and more. Both William and Mary were represented by private lawyers. On the 21st of February 2008, Mary applied to the court for an interim protection order. The order was granted. On the 5th of March 2008, Mary reported a breach of the conditions of the order to the police. According to the report, it apparently occurred earlier that day when William allegedly trespassed on their property, damaged a door and threatened them. When the police wanted to arrest William, he could not be found and his information was flagged as a wanted person. When William returned from a business trip in Portugal on the 2nd of May 2008, he was arrested at the airport and detained 3 days without bail. The protection order hearing and the alleged breaching of the conditions of the interim order were heard by the same magistrate on the 12th of May 2008. The outcome was the allegations of the breach of the conditions were proven to be false. Mary and her mother did not know that William was abroad on business and that his sports car that they saw was driven by a mechanic that serviced it. Mary and her mother were charged with perjury and both received custodial sentences. The application for a protection order was dismissed. The magistrate found that the two lawyers were friends and corruptly kept the access and maintenance matters in the court. He ordered that the police should investigate the corruption. Both lawyers ended up losing their licenses and one ended serving time in prison. The children were placed in foster care while a reunification process took place. Jurisprudence. The state responsibility under the European Convention of Human Rights goes beyond the traditional concept of responsibility and includes acts which are not directly inflicted by a public official but executed with their active or passive agreement, or those occurred with their lack of intervention. This infers the notion of consent or acquiescence, which can give rise to state responsibility under Article 1 of the ECHR. The European Court of Human Rights has ruled that a state is in breach of the ECHR when it has neglected to implement measures to prevent acts of torture administered by non-state actors. For example, when a stepfather was proven to have physically abused his child, was acquitted by the jury who considered the punishment to be reasonable chastisement, the ECHR disagreed and ruled that the state failed to provide adequate protection for the child. Jurisprudence. The ECHR has ruled in Opus versus Turkey that the state was responsible for the act of torture inflicted by a husband on his wife because the state had knowledge of impermissible act but failed to prevent, prosecute and punish the suspect. The Inter-American Court on Human Rights ruled in Velázquez Rodriguez versus Honduras that the state was responsible for the act of a private person through its failure of due diligence to prevent the act of torture. The state, after being informed and by not acting to stop this abuse or preventing its continuance, the state are in breach of the UNCAT by failing to prevent, prosecute or punish or interfere in the impermissible act. Jurisprudence. The UNCAT has also elaborated the concept of consent or acquiescence by public officials in Jimago and all versus Yugoslavia, where law enforcement failed to prevent the destruction of a Roma settlement. The lack of action constituted acquiescence in terms of Article 16. Jurisprudence. Numerous other examples are quoted in the ECHR ruling in Volodina versus Russia, where the court ruled that there has been a violation of Article 3 of the Convention, torture in brackets, and there has been a violation of Article 14 of the Convention, taken in conjunction with Article 3, quoting paragraph 101 of the judgment. In view of the manner in which the authorities handled the case, notably the authorities' reluctance to open a criminal investigation into the applicant's credible claims of ill treatment by S and their failure to take effective measures against him, ensuring his punishment under the applicable legal provisions, the court finds that the state has failed to discharge its duty to investigate the ill treatment that the applicant had endured. If the state does not have knowledge of the atrocities, the state cannot be held responsible. But if the state does have knowledge of the atrocities, the states can then be held responsible. If that is the case, where does Ireland stand on parental alienation when numerous fathers and mothers have gone to the Garda about parental alienation and its abuses, and these complaints have never been followed up? Not one parent in Ireland has been jailed for parental alienation. Thank you. This has been a presentation of Ricochet, Quigley and Haste Effect of a Gold or Silver Bullet, written by Andries van Tonder, November 2019. The link to the full paper is at https://www.academia.edu/41133/ricochet, quigley, and has effect of a gold or silver bullet. Thank you.